it's 11:30, so let's get rolling, shall we? Happy birthday to our July babies. Look at all those little birthday babes. A lot of July babies up there.
Tony.
What?
Alex.
Tony West is on there. He's
Natalie.
in the room. What?
Natalie Phelps.
Bears, right?
Oh.
Yeah. And then some July work anniversaries too. Allison, happy 4 years at KW. Zennia, 8 years at KW. Well, congratulations.
It's you, retirement's coming up.
Right around the corner. Whoever has this, can you make that not there? Thank you. And then welcome to Mary, Mackenzie, and Monique. If you see some new faces around the office, make sure you tell them hello and give them a big warm welcome. Going on this week in the Market Center. Today we've got Tech Bar. Thursday, Bradley, what do you want to tell us about social media calendar workshop?
This is going to be so much fun. We're going to go over not just.
Come on, damn it.
Whoever that is.
We're going to go over not just a plan and how you can build out your monthly social media plan, but we're also going to go over content ideas, reels and posts I've been seeing do well lately. And then if we have time, we're going to film them.
Love it. Okay, so damn it, you got a little interrupted. Sorry, I got distracted. So,
Kenneth was super excited.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally just blacked out for a minute. I didn't hear anything you said. Did everyone else hear Bradley and what's gonna happen?
It's gonna be an amazing social event.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're going to have dinner, wine. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect. I'll be there. All right. Okay. I don't know what it's right here. Wow. All right. Friday at 10 a.m. we have the One Thing workshop via Zoom. If you don't know, now you know. Allison and I have been doing One Thing book club as part of our Pathway to Production. And I don't know who's doing it this Friday. No, it's not me. It's Allison. Awesome. Allison, what are we talking about this Friday?
I actually don't remember what the topic is, but this is our last, right?
It
On the
can't
last
be.
part of the book.
We're on the last part, but it can't be our last week.
Yeah, and then, but what, we've taken a week off.
Yeah.
What, things that people are getting out of this, just being in that, doing listening to us, I think is pretty powerful. Because everybody's getting something different out of it. It's like so personal to each person and what's gonna move the needle, what their one thing is.
Yeah. I think the thing that I've appreciated about going back through the One Thing this time is that it's very personal and everybody's we're all on this same real estate journey. We're all in pursuit of excellence in our business and in our life, but everybody's at a little different spot in that. And so I've really appreciated seeing different perspectives and hearing different people and what's resonating with them from the book. So that is this Friday, 11 a.m. At 10 a.m. Then also, if you need an all-day dose of Allison and I, this Friday at 11, we're doing the Rookie Real Estate Workshop. We'll have a QR code for that. And then don't forget about every Monday through Friday at 8:30, there's an accountability call with Allison and I. That is a continuation of Breakthrough 120, which starts again in August. But that's a continuation of Breakthrough 120. And it's that daily accountability. So if you attended some or all of Breakthrough 120, what you know is that was building kind of the foundations, and then the follow-up piece, which is where it gets to 9 agreements. The 9 agreements weren't going to come in those first 5 days of boot camp. The 9 agreements are coming in daily conversations with your clients. So that's what we go over on our accountability calls on Monday.
And I want to talk a little bit about the accountability calls because it's pretty neat when I can say, hey, this person logged their number, and I'm like, tell me about and then they log their follow-up opportunities, and I'm like, tell me about your follow-up opportunity. And then we have real conversations that help them follow up and dig deeper and get the appointments, like on that case-by-case basis. So it's great if you're just not sure like who to talk to or what to say to them. We're helping you through all of that.
Yep, I love it. Did you have a question, Justin?
I do. On the previous slide, does anybody know when the realtor vote day is, because that's really important to me.
July 17th.
Thanks.
It's in the July calendar. And I don't know if you have to RSVP. You do maybe.
It says RSVP for food, but you don't have to
If you want
RSVP if you're not eating.
If you want lunch, better.
Um,
Okay, here is the QR code for the rookie real estate agent workshop. I feel like we've talked about this a lot, but I'm just gonna keep talking about it because I do feel like it's a pretty powerful day. So the rookie real estate agent book is a newly released book. It's kind of the prequel to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. The whole purpose of that book is to set up the foundations for a business that nets over $100,000 in a year. And so that's kind of the beginning step. It's the most common goal we hear in real estate as Allison and I are talking to newer agents or agents who are transitioning into full-time agents. The most common goal we hear is that they really want to hit 100,000 in a year. This walks you through how to net $100,000 in a year. It is an all-day workshop. We're going to be here from 11 to 5. That last hour is an agent panel where we've had a variety of different agents in our office come in and speak on that panel. So this is Friday the 10th. Please RSVP so we know how many people to plan on for lunch if you're planning to attend. This is a really great one. If you have an agent that you know in the industry, I would like to be clear, this is not just Keller Williams based content. This is just real estate workshop, rookie agent data
Foundation, it's like building up that foundation so that your business
can hit that number.
yeah.
So I need you to register if you're going to attend. And then our quarterly market update. It is hard to believe that Q2 is over. It's like in the books. Our year's halfway through. So we're going to go dive in deep with Marcus at NWAR on Tuesday, the 21st. We're going to do a quarterly market update. This is a great invitable event. If you have any friends that you know in real estate, you've had an agent across the other side of the deal that you loved working with, this is a good one to invite them to. As you know, we go through all the data, we dive deep, and then Marcus's flair on it is that he gives you some actual information on how are your clients perceiving this information and how do we go and now share the message with our clients versus just us looking at the data and go, great, we're a little bit smarter, but what did we actually do with that data? And the mega camp ticket pricing ends next week. So July 15th is next Wednesday. That's when tier 1 ticket pricing is going to end. So if you want to attend this, they just announced a bunch of other speakers too. So if you follow KW on Instagram or Facebook, you should have seen that. You can also just go to events.kw.com. It'll show you the agenda as it sits today. As you guys know, those agendas kind of fill in as it gets closer and closer to the event. It is the 17th to the 20th. On the 20th is all leadership day. So if you are an agent, your content is actually going to end at 5 p.m. on the 19th. And so if you want to come and just do a quick Monday to Wednesday trip, you could fly in Monday morning, you could fly home Wednesday night. It is in San Antonio, Texas. Simon Sinek is the keynote speaker. And I'm super excited for him, but they're just really packing a really great lineup. The thing I'm really excited about with this mega camp is that we're going back to some of the breakouts that they used to do on production and that kind of stuff. So I think this will be really cool event. Tuesday, the first team meeting in August, we're going to have Boyd Brown. He's the OP of KW Salt Lake and KW Utah. And he is ultimately going to be talking about protecting your assets. So this is something more for like if you have aging clients or if you are aging yourself, it's how to make sure that when you get to an age that you're retiring or you're starting to sell assets or you're helping clients who are selling assets, what does that look like and how to just really protect those assets. So this is very much a wealth building idea. Yes, Bradley?
I feel like it's even important for people if you just want to protect your assets if you potentially die.
Yeah, because we're all gonna
Potentially.
Potentially.
nobody's getting out of this thing alive.
Because not everyone's gonna die when they're 85, so you just want to set up your assets in a way that they're easily dispersed, taken care of.
Yeah.
Before they get that.
And this is, it's applicable for anyone because ultimately there's a lot of things that happen when people pass that maybe they haven't vested correctly or things have to go through probate or there's just a bunch of different things that he's going to talk to you about protecting your assets. So that will be on the first Tuesday in August. Has anybody been using Suki? I was not here when Suki got released, guys. I would love to see every single person's hand up the next time that we ask this question. Suki was created just for you in this often. It's a custom AI assistant. So it is different than if you just go to ChatGPT and ask a question. Okay, because it knows our office policies, it knows our culture, it knows our calendar, it knows what our mission is, it knows our goals. It knows the divisional rules, of course, and then also our office policies and procedures. And so it also has all of Sean tracks like frequently asked questions. So those questions that we just get over and over and over, those are like the top of Suki's database. That's where she's going to search her knowledge database very first through all of our office things first. And then she's going to move into more broader search. So I would really encourage you to get in the habit of using Suki. Here's a prompt you can use, which is create my 24th of July Pioneer Day social kit. Include graphics of events happening day of in Davis County. So there's your prompt. You can put that into Suki. It will create the social media marketing for you. Bradley, what did I not say?
As much as I love this, it's not even the best thing Suki can do.
I know
Touch on
it's
that
not.
later.
Yeah.
But it syncs right to Canva, so if you click the next button, this is the graphic it created for me. It'll create a different one for each of you, and you can tell it, you know, what you're looking for. If you hate swimming, you can say, don't include any swimming things, and it won't. This is just a great, easy way to get some leverage, have a social post, and plug in your logos down below.
Also, this looks so much better than, guys, we got to talk about your ChatGPT flyers. Can we just have a real conversation about it? They're so bad. The ones right now that are so popular all over social media.
ChatGPT was like, I can make a flyer.
And
It's so obvious.
it's so bad. Just stop it, guys. I'm tired. Just stop it. So use Suki. This is definitely not the coolest thing she can do. If you have not used Suki and you need to know how to connect, see Bradley, he can help you with it. You can literally call Suki on the phone. You can text Suki, but you can call Suki while you're driving. If you just had a client conversation and if you've connected everything appropriately, I can call Suki. And if Andrea is in my command database and I had a conversation with Andrea, I can call Suki and ask them to add a conversation that I had with Andrea into her client notes in command. Super slick. So if you're not using it, start using it. There, wants and needs. Justin, tell us about your listings.
I'm so excited, you guys. West Jordan, they are so motivated.
Yay.
We just lowered it another 25 grand.
Wow.
If you know anyone in West Jordan, they want to no longer have this home, which is a great home. They just took a job somewhere else. It has 3-car garage, parking, solar, a pool, a fenced yard, EV charger. Like, what else do you need in a house?
Nothing.
So
Everything.
it's a luxury community. It's a great house. We're at just barely over $1 million. They're super motivated, and it's a 5.5 BA assumable if they're a veteran. Oh. And then I have the Syracuse house. I don't know why everyone's put solar on houses, but this one has solar as well. 3-car garage, fenced yard. It's like moving ready. Both of those are like, I feel like they're brand new. They're just a couple years old. The Salt Lake triplex is the opposite of brand new, but it's still really cute. Poor Steph. It's not super cute.
It's not super cute, it's just kind of cute.
No, it's really cute. It's totally been remodeled when she bought it. And, 2 of the units are full and they've been long-term tenants. And it's great if you want to work downtown. We're at 1.2 on that. And then I just lowered my rental in South Ogden. I lowered $100 because I'm tired of paying it. New carpet, new paint. I would love to have somebody come into it, so I don't have to pay for it.
And that includes utilities.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Bradley.
I think I've not explained how great my Clinton listing is.
See the positivity I started with?
You guys haven't bought it.
No, but I have seen all of the showings that you get though. He's getting showings all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Actually,
Somehow I get the notifications, but I mean, we won't talk.
we've gotten some more done in the last 2 weeks, which is great. But it had solar paid off, the roof was replaced, brand new roof 2 years ago. HVAC, completely replaced, heating, cooling, 3 years ago. It is a tri-level, but if you're familiar with Clinton, it's not one of the tri-levels that everybody has, where you've got your kitchen and your banister looking down below. It's a different layout where the kitchen main level is a little bit bigger. In fact, the family room area is bigger, and then it's got a wall, and then it goes down below. So it's a different layout than most tri-levels. So it's fantastic.
Check it out. Jess. I have a super cute Christine in Clearfield. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. It's only $365, which compared to other homes around is pretty like below market value right now, and it's really cute. I think it's gonna be great for like a first time buyer family. It is VA suitable with a 2.75% rate. The difference is about 130, so you know, would be great for someone coming in with some equity or something to move over. We do only want VA eligible though for that one. But yeah, it's really close to base, but like it's not annoyingly close either, if that makes sense.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you need an open house on that one.
Yes, if anyone wants to do an open house, I just
Would you send that to me?
awesome. Allison.
Yeah, a really great one in Centerville. It's actually really super cute. She's updated it quite a bit in there. It's got 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, and it's right on the mountain on 350 West, which is like Rolling Hills Road in Centerville. So it's the very last house on the road. So there's no front yard neighbors and there's no backyard neighbors. So there's only neighbors on one side. It's a pretty great location. We're gonna go up. We're gonna get pictures the 20th. So we're at 675.
I still have this, well, I guess I don't still have, it's only been on market like 10 days. So 331 North Eccles is listed at 450. It's a 4.2. It does have one for garage and a shed. It is a super, super well taken care of house. It's all brick. If you've got anybody looking in that price point, it's gonna for sure outshine the others. There are some that have more square footage, but they need to be remodeled. This house has been all remodeled. It's had a roof, it's had HVAC recently. It's just a really cute little house. They've designed the basement into like a large primary suite, which can be just converted back to a family room without just taking the bed out. Kind of weird for me, people can just like visualize no bed. So anyway, that's really cute. And then 1032 Sarah Lane. I've talked to you guys about this one. It is a townhouse in Ogden. It is owner occupied only. It's a 2 1.5, does have a carport and then an additional reserved spot just right in front of their door. I'd really love to get some showings on that one. So if you've got anybody looking under 300, it's a great one. Hey, anybody else that didn't have a chance to write on the board? Sean.
I have several homes that, they're all mostly super cute. But if you want to hold open houses, you're more than welcome to. 2 of my listings, one on Jackson and one in South Ogden. Instead of price reduction, I'm offering a buy down. So if you've got someone who needs to get a lower interest rate, feel free to write an offer on it and let's get something done. And then the one in South Ogden does have solar that is paid for, so there's very low electric bills, if any. And then I have 2 rentals that are vacant, and I hate having vacancies. So one is in North Ogden, 2 bed, 2 bath. I was getting $1,400 out of that one for a long time. And then another one in Ogden that is a little house that's $2,400. So if you have anyone who needs a place to live.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else? Wes.
I have a townhome at 3990 Grand Mercy in Ogden. It's super sexy, let's put it that way. It's a hot one. And the price, we just did a price adjustment. It's now $329,999. It's a 3 bedroom, 3 bath, has a fireplace, updated kitchen. The HOA includes 2 pools, clubhouse. It also has 2 spaces in the carport. Has a new AC unit, just put a new breaker box panel in, fresh paint. It shows really well, and Kaylin's doing an open house this Saturday from 11 to 2. So come out and support her.
Is that the one that I am TV?
It's close to, yeah.
Okay, who else, anybody? Or David?
4-bed, 3-bath in Plain City. The house is like 4 years old. It's got a 4-car garage. It's got RV parking. And it's like right around 620. Anybody has anyone looking?
Anybody else? All right, moving along, we're gonna run through really quickly some May awards so that we can get started on our 1-hour CE course and still get out on time. Natalia, Brigham, and Sandy all capped, so congratulations to those guys. 100% of their commission is coming at them on their next check, which is exciting. Our Moab team, for those of you that don't know, we had a partnership with a large team out of Moab. It's, I think, the #1 team in Moab. The Moody real estate team. So Rachel and Cora both have their first listings with KW Success. If you're in Moab, I think it'll be fun for you to go say hi to them. So that'd be awesome. Top individuals listings taken. Ken and I rounded out. This is May, remember, we don't have June's report yet. So Ken and I had May. Top closed individuals, Tennille, Marcia, and Claudia all had top closed units as individuals. The top teams with listings taken were the Bird Owners, the Larson Realty Group, and Connection Homes. Congratulations, guys. Our top teams with closed units were the Bird Owners, Connection Homes, and Larson Realty Group. Top groups listings taken. Moab Living was the Rachel Moody team, and Brett and Julie Real Estate had our top listings taken. Our top groups for closed units were Brett and Julie Real Estate and Bolster Action Team. $1 million months in May. Claudia, Tennille, Marcia, Jamie, Mikhail, the Bird Owners, Brett and Julie, Amarillo Realty Group, and Bolster Action Team all had $1 million months in May. That's awesome. And when we make our calls to lead generate so we can get on the awards board next time, we're going to do it in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. So I'm super excited about Ryan being here to do this avoiding wire fraud. If you guys have not seen this class before, you're in for a treat. Because wire fraud is a pretty scary topic and it affects everybody. And I don't know where Ryan is. There he is. And Ryan is an excellent instructor, and I'm excited for you to be here today. It's good to see you. Hey, thanks for being here, and we're gonna let you have the floor. So this is your clicker.
Ronnie's not here. Do most of you know Ronnie?
Ryan
Yes.
was here. I don't know where he is.
We'll give him a minute when he comes back.
All right, perfect.
So I am Ryan with Fidelity Title. I'm actually out of our Midvale office, but I teach a lot of CE classes, so I go wherever they ask me to. I think a lot of you know Andrea, who's in the office right here next door. She is fantastic. If you haven't given her a shot, give her a shot. She's awesome. Wire fraud. I mean, I know we've all heard about it because it's a huge thing right now. But my class, I like to kind of dig into what the bad guys are doing to try and get your client's information and get in on the contract or get in on the conversation, and also what we can do as professionals to try and help our clients not get taken advantage of. Who here has had a transaction where there was a wire fraud, either attempt or a successful wire fraud? Wow, that's awesome. You want to tell us your story real quick?
Sure. So I had a client that was purchasing a home. She was kind of like, I wouldn't say an older lady, but she just had not sold a house for a long time. She had lived in her home, her and her husband had bought for a long time. She had sold that and was purchasing a estate sale for her mother. And so she was a little nervous about everything going through, which I think we sometimes forget, like, when we're just like, as soon as I saw the email, I'm like, how did you not know? But I feel like we deal with this kind of stuff all the time, every day. And so she was a little bit nervous, and we had gone over the wire fraud paper. She had signed it, thank goodness. We had gone through all that. And she was closing on a Monday. And on Friday, she had asked about, making sure she had everything. And I said, hey, on Monday, Heather, or no, it wasn't Heather, it was Carla. Anyway, I was like, on Monday, they're gonna actually hand you wire instructions at the closing table and you'll just go wire your money after we sign everything. And that's like my standard of what I always tell them. And then Saturday morning, I was chatting with her about something. She had called me for some reason. And she made a comment about like, yeah, and I got the money all wired, so everything's good. And as soon as she said it, I knew something had happened. My heart just dropped. And I was like, what do you mean you wired the money? And she said, well, I got the email from the title company saying that I needed to send the money. And so I went and wired the down payment. And guys, this woman did not have a lot of money. She wired $56,000. That was her down payment. And that is about what she makes annually, right? Like that's like maybe a little bit even more than her gross income in a year. And the money was just gone. So she had gotten an email that was surprised. I mean, they look pretty good, right? Like, so she had gotten an email. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this isn't the person's email address. There was phrases in there like kindly, immediately wire the funds at your convenience, to avoid hold up on our settlement. There was just all these little key phrases that I was like, trigger, this is wire fraud. But she never got the money back. She still hasn't gotten the money back. Luckily in her case, she was able, because it was she was buying her mom's home from their family estate. And luckily her sister was able to gift her some of her equity, which wouldn't always happen, right? Otherwise she would have been homeless. She had already sold her house.
Yeah.
She had an extended possession and was just waiting to close on the new house. And so the new owners of the house she sold would have taken possession and she would have had nowhere to go. So luckily it was a situation that her sister was able to help her, but I know that's not always the case.
Yeah.
But it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, and she likely won't get
No,
that money
they'll
back.
probably never get the money.
The chances that you get it back, once it's actually done and gone and at the bad guy's bank, the chances you get your money back are so slim. And I know that a lot of times when we talk about wire fraud, we kind of talk about it in the abstract, that we know that it's a thing. We know that there are bad guys out there. We know there are people trying to take advantage of our clients. So it's good, I think, to hear stories from people who have actually been a part of a transaction and hear how it affects people. Because it's way more prevalent than probably even I am aware of. The amount of emails that are compromised these days, where people's passwords are out on the dark web. And one thing that I actually was talking with someone the other day about it, is with, as you guys were talking about Suki, your AI, with the I guess not invention, but the more prevalence of AI. I always kind of used to figure, you know, if a bad guy's going to get into someone's email and try and insert themselves in a transaction, it makes way more sense to get into one of your emails, because you're going to have lots of transactions they can try and get into. If I try and get into some other person just random on the streets email, how do I know they're ever going to buy or sell a home? So I always have kind of considered real estate agents as a really rich target for the bad guys. Your emails are full of information about properties, buyers' names, you know, all of that kind of information. But with AI out there, the bad guys can program their AI to take all of the passwords that they have and watch all of these emails for keywords, and they can get a notification when Joe Byers' email has an email that comes in that says wire instructions. They don't have to be as personally watching those emails and waiting to see where they can insert themselves. I still do think that real estate agents are an incredibly good target for bad people. So my biggest recommendation for all of you guys, if you don't have it already, is set up two-factor authentication for your email and change your password regularly. Those are your two biggest things that you can do to protect when it comes to wire fraud. Years ago, I heard about the first instance of wire fraud, and they really originally were just kind of going after title companies. I remember hearing about a title company who got a phone call from the seller after closing, and they said, you know, I don't want those funds wired to my personal account. I'd like them wired to my business account. So here's the account information for that. And that was 15 years ago, before we were really worried a lot about wire fraud. And so that title company it wired the money to the wrong place. And then of course the seller's like, hey, where's my money? And so I don't know how that person got the information, but I would imagine, again, someone's email's compromised. They're able to kind of watch the information passing hands. And so they actually asked, or had ended up with that loss and ended up having to cover that person's loss. So that was the first thing I heard of when it came to wire fraud. Title companies are pretty good at talking to each other. We have regulatory industry stuff as well. As a matter of fact, this week is the Utah Land Title Association convention. We all go to classes, we learn from each other. So title companies, we got pretty good about kind of closing that door. I can pretty much guarantee you, whatever title company you work at, if you called after if you had your seller call after closing to change wire instructions, it's going to be an ordeal. We won't do it just from a phone call. We need to actually talk to them. We need to verify who they are. Sometimes we'll have them come back in to bring in their corrected wire instructions. Most of the time, we just tell them, hey, we got to make sure we're wiring it to the right place right up front. So your title company should have all of these practices in place. If they don't, check with them and see what their procedures are. But we always get wire instructions in person. We never, ever, ever will take a change in wire instructions off of an email. My team knows that if they get an email that says, hey, I want to change my wire instructions, we ignore that email for a second. We go back into the file. We look at the closing documents the guy signed, and we get their phone number and we call that phone number. You have to ignore what the email says. And then when we talk to the seller, if we can confirm the numbers with a number that we know is the seller, we're able to adjust it. But we won't ever just trust that an email that comes through is from them. If we do, that talks about that, and not trusting the information on the email is important too, because the bad guys can copy and paste our signature lines, and so they can make emails look really legit.
I will say the one, other than some triggering words in it, like it looked almost identical to the
Yeah.
person's email signature. The email, when you actually clicked on it, was like one letter different, like there was, so at first glance, it's gonna look like it came from that person.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, there we go. So here's some examples. I have a whole bunch of emails in here that are phishing emails that I've seen over the years. This was back when I worked at Surety Title. So this one down here says that it's from Sharon Kearns, who is an escrow officer who works at Meridian, and that is the right address for her office. So they had the right email information, but they say, hey, here's a document that's been completed. So it kind of looks like someone signed a DocuSign. And so if we were to click on that link, it may ask us to go try and sign into what looks like a DocuSign account. It might ask us to try and sign into our email account. And that's where the bad guys are going to get you. They're going to get you to go somewhere where it looks like you have to sign in, and you're actually signing into their website, not into Outlook or whatever. Same thing with that. Zix is a company that I still see emails from people that say this is a new Zix secure message, and it has a link for you to click. On both of these ones, though, the email addresses, it's probably hard to see, but the email addresses are not right. So it says Sharon Kearns, which you guys probably all know. If you go into your Gmail, you can name your email account. So I can have it say Ryan's Title Company if I want. So they had gone in and changed it to Sharon Kearns. So when you look at it in your Outlook, you see that it's from Sharon Kearns. But if you look at the actual email address, it's from info@nickhealy.co.uk. And so that's one of those things that we look for when we get an email that looks like a phishing email is the email address matching the name, what we would expect. A lot of times, another thing that we look for is urgency. A lot of times they'll say, hey, you need to do this now. We need you to wire right now so that we have the funds in time for closing, or we need you to log in and get this information for us soon. So this one is one that says, hey, we're going to close your mail account unless you click on this and get your information. And of course, that's not from our mail server. That's from a bad guy who wants to get my information so that they can start watching our emails. And same thing, sometimes they'll make them look like a PDF, which generally we think are safe and relatively are. They can be embedded with bad stuff, but relatively are safe. And so they show another link where we can click on and look at a PDF. A lot of times they will get really specific. First American's secure emails do often look like that. The only thing that we knew that wasn't a real file is because, again, it said First American Title, but it came from title@tourismcares.org. And whenever I get something like that, I will look up the address. They said that they were doing one on Superior Avenue. I jumped in my system and I looked. I didn't have any files on Superior Avenue. So I knew better than to click on that one. But same thing, they'll scab stuff off of an email and make it look like it's really legitimate. So we have to be real careful about phishing and honestly, even in teaching our clients to look for that kind of thing. This was one that actually, when I was at Surety, I believe that it was, I think we kind of sorted out that my agent's email had been compromised. So they were able to steal this off of my email that I had sent to my agent. And then they sent to our seller, to avoid closing delay, you are wired cash to close to the title company this morning. Please confirm receipt of this email so I can provide wire instructions. Luckily for us, this consumer was savvy and he called us and he goes, hey, did you guys send this to me? It feels weird. And we looked at it and the email says closing 018@gmail.com. So again, everything else on that email could have been from me. It was fairly convincing, but the email address itself was wrong. So they get really, really picky about the way that they do that. So when I put this one in here, just so that you could see, so this is the signature that they put on my email, and this is the signature that really was on my email at that time. So fairly close. We probably, if you're my client and I email you all the time, you would probably recognize that it looks a little different, but your end consumer who gets very few emails from me probably would not. So the bad guys are good at that.
One other just quick thing, if they're looking at this on their phone too, like
Yeah.
from your client's perspective, unless they click on the name, it doesn't even show the email. She
Yeah.
just sent me a
true.
screenshot of the person and she was looking at it on her phone. And I was like, hey, will you go click on the name so you see
Yeah, hit the
who
little drop
it
down.
goes to? So, and it was it was same thing. Like if she would have looked at the email, she would have seen it was different.
Yep.
But when you're just pulling it up on your phone, it just says from Rusty Edwards or whatever, whoever it's from.
Yeah.
And they don't even see the email when you're asking, unless you're like reminding
Unless you're
them
looking
to.
for it. Yeah, and again, we as professionals, we know to look for that kind of stuff. But our consumers don't necessarily. So passing that information along to them is really good. I prefer to scare my clients and be like, hey, listen, if you don't do what we've talked about for wiring, your money could go somewhere else. So let's make sure that you're following all of the steps that we give you. So what happens if you do, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I didn't know if you shared a story because I came in here a little bit late, but we did just recently have this happen. And the guy should have been aware, he's in a business where he should have been aware that it could have been a scam, but he wasn't. He did send his funds to close, which was close to $100,000. The only saving grace is the person putting in the wire put a wrong number in, and so they were able to get their money back.
That
This
was
is happening on a
lucky.
regular-
Super lucky.
These scams are happening on a regular basis, and so, yeah, making sure that people know the information is super important.
Really, really important. I've seen some statistics and it's hard to know exactly how many transactions are happening across the country and how many really have what Fidelity calls attempted diversions. So whether that is someone reaching out to my team, trying to get a payoff to go to the wrong place, or seller's wire instructions, or on the buyer side, the buyer getting bad wire instructions and being asked to send their money. Fidelity, we actually track all of those. If we get an email that was attempted wire fraud, even if we stop it, we report that so that we can keep numbers of it. And I don't have the number with me. It's also one they say is not for public consumption, but I know that it's well into 9 figures. It is up over $100 million of attempted emails, whether they be to your buyer or to our title company, where people have tried to get in on transactions. And the amount of money, and that's just Fidelity. You know, we're like a third of the market share across the states. So you're probably talking 3 times that if we look at all title companies. So the amount of it going on is really crazy. So it is really good to talk to your clients and let them know what's going on. If they do happen to click on an email and they go ahead and log into whatever website it is that comes up that they think they're logging in to see something from you or from me, there's a couple of things that can happen. One of those is that they'll either, and I don't know that they do keystroke loggers as much. They used to install a keystroke logger on your computer so that when you then logged into your Gmail, it would see that and it would see your username typed out and then your password typed out. More often these days, they will take you to a fake website that they have. So as you log in, they now know your username. my password. They also, back when I was at Surety, one of our other escrow officers, I don't know if she had clicked on something, but we were able to figure out that she had a rule set up in her Outlook. And it was not on her computer. They had done it on the server side. So they had logged into Outlook online and set up a rule in her email that said anything that had the word payoff would get forwarded out to this other email address. So she had emailed a hard money lender and said, hey, I need to get your payoff figures for this closing for this guy, and started getting contacted by someone who was not that hard money payoff lender. And we were able to see it, and we were like, how is he seeing all of these emails? And we finally dug into the server and could see that they were getting these automatic forwards going to them. So they have different ways that they can use to get in. But again, changing passwords and multi-factor authentication is your best bet. Speaking of, so if you can, I know it's a pain in the butt, but changing your password regularly is a really good idea. Not using your password on your email across multiple platforms, which is a little bit easier these days since our computers save them for us. But just making sure that it's hard for someone to get your password, and if they do, that you have two-factor authentication. Do you guys all know what two-factor is? It is. They've tried to streamline it to make it a little easier. But if I gave any of you my Gmail email address and password and said, go ahead and try logging in, my phone will chime and say, hey, is this you? And so make sure that yours does that too. Because then at the very least, you'll be able to see when people are trying to get in.
I know like Command does this, and I know many of you get annoyed at the two-factor authentication, but reality is you have so much of your client's secure information. And so that's the way that they're protecting so that nobody's getting in behind the wall of privacy of all your clients' information.
They didn't say it was a bad thing.
Yeah. It is annoying. Yeah. And clients think that too, and we're like, you have to log into this site so that you can give me your personal information. They also are like, but it is a necessary evil. And it's one of those, well, not a necessary evil, a necessary inconvenience. It's a good thing. But it is also one of those things that we handle at the title company, probably even more than you guys, of that non-public information. And so the powers that be, when things go south and they're looking into wire fraud and they're trying to figure out who did what, they hold all of us to a higher standard. They expect us to be more careful with non-public information and to protect and safeguard it. So we all have to make sure that we're doing what we can for that. I do tell all of my clients, take yourself out of the conversation when it comes to wiring instructions, other than telling your client that they're going to talk to the title company. I tell my clients, give your client my cell phone if you want. They can call me on my cell phone when they're at the bank to send a wire, and I will verify the wire instructions for them. But don't be the one who gets the wire instructions and forwards them to your client. Please don't ever do that. All you're doing is giving yourself more liability and more possibility that you get sucked in if something goes south. So make sure that you, if you at all possible, take yourself out of that conversation. And then, yeah, that's just talking about logging into secure emails. Anytime you're sending any non-public information, you technically should be doing it with a secure email. So for the most part, for you guys, you can avoid a lot of that because you don't gather a lot of non-public information. I was in a class once and one of the agents mentioned something about helping get his clients socials for the title company or the lender. Please don't ever do that. You as an agent should never ask your client for their social. There's no need for it. Again, it's only something that's going to add more responsibility to you that they can look at and go, hey, how did you safeguard that information? So if the title company or the lender's having a hard time getting a hold of your client, you can call your client, tell them to call the title company, but don't jump in the middle, which is hard because we're A-types and we want to show our people that we know how to get shit done and I'm going to get your stuff for you. But let some of those things be gaps in what you do. Get them to the right people. So again, title companies, we're careful these days. We one of the things that really has been much more common lately is the bad guys coming in. Let me see. Okay, so like this one was one that we got from a seller that said, hey, we're doing a transaction. The seller reached out and said, we're closing soon. Can I get a copy of my settlement statement? Sure, you're the seller. I can give you your settlement statement. That's okay. So we sent it over. That email was actually not from the seller, we found out later. So it's really hard to see from a distance. So he told us, on that settlement statement you just sent me, that payoff's not right. There's something wrong with it. I'm gonna call my lender and get a new payoff. And we were like, you can't call your lender and send us a new payoff. Like, that's how the bad guys work. We'll call your lender. He was like, no, it's okay. I'll have them send it right to you. I won't play middleman, but there's something wrong with it. Which already was a little bit of a red flag. So then he gets a new payoff sent. And so that's literally a screenshot of the two payoffs. And I know it's probably hard to see, but they were almost identical. As I started looking at them, I could see that this number was a little bit smaller than that number. And other than that, a really convincing fake. And so we got it. I also thought it was really strange when he said, you know, there's something wrong with that payoff. And I looked at it and the difference in the payoff was like $200. I was like, your average consumer is not going to be savvy enough to look at a number on a settlement statement and just know that that's 200 more than what they really owe. And so when we were looking at it, what really had changed and what was the part that put up red flags for us was Mr. Cooper banked at Chase. And because we wire out tons and tons to Mr. Cooper, we knew they banked at Chase. They're saved in our system that way. This one showed Mr. Cooper banking at Wells Fargo. And so that's what this bad guy had done. Somehow he knew there was a transaction going on with this person as the seller. They're going to be closing soon. And then they knew the right things to say to us to try and get in and try and get us to wire the payoff to the wrong place. So again, not something that necessarily you guys would run into. That's just something that they're targeting way more with title companies these days, is trying to get us to send payoffs to the wrong place. And those ones can be big. I know of 2 title companies in Salt Lake that have shut down because they were a smaller title company. Someone on their team didn't follow their established protocol and didn't verify that those wire instructions were right. And they ended up wiring proceeds to the wrong, payoffs to the wrong place. And both title companies were like, you know, we can't take a $300,000 loss. So they just ended up closing. So this one was the one that really got my attention. And this one I think was, I want to say it was from 2017. So it's been a while back. But this one for me really pointed out how you guys as agents can get pulled into the mess. So in Kansas, there was Mrs. Coleman, who was an agent. She was representing a seller. A non-represented cash buyer came along, Mr. Bain, and went under contract. Being an agent, doing everything that she could, she tried to make sure that Mr. Coleman was taken care of, or sorry, Mr. Bain was taken care of. Walked him through the whole transaction. As they're getting close to closing, he again, kind of like that email to me, asked for a settlement statement and wire instructions so that he could get a wire sent. Mrs. Coleman got wire instructions that were wrong. They ended up getting forwarded over to Mr. Bain. He took that email from Mrs. Coleman and went to the bank. He wired the money, got to closing. They said, okay, here's the wire instructions. We just need you to send the money now. And they realized that a couple days earlier, he had wired his money to the wrong place. It was almost $200,000 that he had wired to the wrong place. It's real easy as an agent who wants to give that top-notch service to someone to go, you know what, I don't have wire instructions, but I can get them for you, and be in that conversation. It's easy to go, you know what, I don't have your settlement statement, that's the title company, but give me 2 minutes. I'll call the escrow officer, we'll get it sent over to you. So this is where it's really important to keep you guys as agents out of that conversation. So what happened on this one is it actually went to trial. I believe that the broker settled, the title company settled, and Mrs. Coleman went to trial and said, I didn't do anything. Like, I'm just the agent. I didn't do anything malicious. In discovery, they actually gave her a copy of the email that he received with wire instructions and was like, is this from your email? And she looked at it and she couldn't tell that, she couldn't tell it that it was not actually from her. She was like, that is from my email, but I didn't send it. And so she really went into the trial and said, hey, listen, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. The jury disagreed and she got a judgment personally. That's not her broker. She got a judgment for 85% of the loss because they determined that as a professional, there's a higher level of responsibility. So she should have had her email secured to the point that they could trust information that was coming from her email.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's freaking terrifying.
What does that entail?
So, well, it kind of depends on who she is, but it's like any judgment. If I'm an attorney for the guy who owes, that she owes money, I'm gonna abstract that in any county I know she owns houses in, and it's going to attach to those houses, and she's gonna end up paying me back at some point.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Like, I use a Gmail account. Is that
Yeah.
not secure enough? Like,
Gmail by itself isn't.
that's wild.
Having two-factor authentication is probably the best bet you can do.
Okay.
You could still get around two-factor authentication, but the bad guy would have to be really intent on it, because they'd have to get like a copied SIM of your phone and have a copy of, talk to your carrier and get your carrier to give them a phone. So there's a lot more involved in getting a phone that will actually respond to the two-factor authentication. Generally, two-factor is about the best that we can do right now. But the bad guys are getting more and more and more resourceful. So it's important that we stay kind of on our game too and keep our security as good as we can. At Fidelity, we've got layers of security. It's a pain in the butt for me to sign in anywhere that's not the office. You guys are generally your own IT person. So just making sure that you have that two-factor will help a ton, because they won't be able to get into your email without having your phone in front of them.
I was at an NAR convention maybe last year or 2 years ago, and they were talking a lot about this, and they did say like agents, they do think they're gonna start seeing a little more pushback on the responsive, like they're gonna push back on like, you should have been responsible for it, you have my information. So they did talk about that, the two-factor authentication, like at a minimum needs to be there, because I mean, we joke about it, but they were like, some of you are walking around with like Hotmail or Yahoo or like AOL accounts that you haven't changed your password on in 20 years. And fun fact, like, I don't know how my client got hacked, but it was an old AOL account that she had never changed a password on like in her whole life. And every password was the same. And so maybe that was the way, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But at the end of the day, ultimately, like that is something that at some point, we haven't seen a lot of it yet here, but at some point they may go, you know what, you weren't using something that was secure to communicate with your client, right?
Yeah, how are you protecting them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why there's such like a push for the wire fraud disclosure too, to be signed in all the files, because that at least acknowledges, assuming you're doing your job, it's acknowledging that you've had a conversation. You didn't just send it over as part of a packet.
Yeah.
And my job, when I fill out those, just like when I'm talking to people about the wire fraud disclosure, I do want to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm like,
For sure.
you know, that money you're putting down, like that's your life savings. It could be gone.
Yeah.
If you follow false wire instructions and there's no like, you can turn it into the FBI and whoever else you want, but good freaking luck, basically.
Yeah.
I use a pattern trick with it. I make them raise their right hand and say I and the name.
Love it.
Will not send money to anybody that I'm not currently on the phone with.
Yeah.
And they all laugh and they're like a little uncomfortable and
You're
uneasy and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and then I'm like, no, for real.
Yeah.
And also, so that way, if it does happen, big, remember when we sit there and told
Yeah.
not to do it? I don't know what to tell you now, bud.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And that, I mean, that's a great way to do it, because it puts it so focused in their brain. They're like, remember how he made us like swear that we
Right.
do it?
Yeah.
Hopefully, when they get that email, they go, oh, he told me not to trust an email. And so it's a great way to do it. I've actually had the thought recently too, that it may even be worth having a conversation with your clients at the beginning of this process and saying the number of emails that are compromised is huge, and yours may be one. We don't know. The bad guys could just be sitting in the background monitoring it. So as a part of this process, since you're going to be exchanging a lot of personal information with real estate agents and title companies and loan officers, how about we go in and change your password to your email right now, just as a part of this process, you know? Yeah, I've heard of real estate agents too that actually are setting up, you know, you can do a sub email. So they'll set up an email that is specifically for that transaction. So they'll have it for that, you know, address. And they're like, this is a brand new email address that is secured through my Gmail. Nobody, you know, it's not out there on the dark web because we just set it up. So this one is a safe one, and we'll use this one for all of our correspondence. So there's different ways to look at it. That one feels like a lot of work to me, but you know, another way to try and protect our clients and protect the consumer. Yeah. Any other questions or comments that you guys have or experiences that you've heard of with wire fraud? Or ways that you are protecting your client that everybody should know?
My title company just texts me when they send it over, so then I can relay the text. Hey, did you
Okay.
get it?
Good. And that's a great way to do it. I know that when people call into our company, if they want us to send them to them unsecured, if they're like, I don't want to log into an email. We'll actually say, okay, cool, pull up your email, hold on, I just hit send, okay, open the attachment. Okay, I'm gonna read some numbers to you. If these match, then we know we've got good communication. You can take those ones, but we will not send you further wire instructions. You will never get another email from me that says these are wire instructions. So there's different ways that we can do it, but it kind of just becomes a little bit more of a high touch thing rather than just an automated, hey, here's the wire instructions. We know they're safe. Send them in. Yeah.
Is there a way to make this more like straightforward that says Fidelity's wire instructions to this and they only go in one, like. Like Wells Fargo has their own routing number.
Mhm.
Fidelity has their own routing number. And so when I'm wiring you money and I put that I'm with Fidelity Title, shouldn't it just like, I don't know, I just feel like we spend all this time and energy like fixing it,
Mhm.
like trying to clean it up and warn people.
Yeah.
Are they putting more effort into just making it like I can Google your wire instructions or it's on your website or like a more straightforward way that it's not this, I feel like it's like this top secret thing
Mhm.
of what's your wire instructions
Yeah.
that I just feel like could just be like out in the open.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have a problem with our wire instructions being out there. One of the things that is kind of a consideration for that is, as a matter of fact, I just had a lady who came into the office, was working with another one of our offices and got an email that said it was from the escrow officer and had wire instructions attached. And she actually brought in the wire instructions and they looked sort of similar to ours, like they had taken the name and stuff, but they were definitely not ours. The name on the account didn't even say Fidelity. It had a different name. So while I know that on the back end, all of the title companies and even like the Federal Reserve, and banks are all looking for ways to try and lock it down and make it more secure. I don't know that there is one right now that I'm aware of. So it ends up being that we all have to kind of babysit our people through it. And we're like, okay, be really careful, you know?
Well, I think the problem becomes that even if they have the correct ones, like some of these are like, oh, we just changed banks or whatever, right? Like we changed banks, so you need to send it here. Or here's the new payoff information, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so sometimes even though we get them the right ones, they'll still get more information, because at Fidelity, our process is that we send them the wire instructions up front with a wire fraud disclosure that says these are the only ones you'll ever get. But people still get new ones from someone and then wire their money somewhere else instead.
What about the lender just requesting like an ACH? Since the lender has all their information, I just,
Yeah.
not that you have all the answers, I'm
No
just wondering if you knew of other ways that they're trying to.
ACH is problematic because of the reversibility of it. You actually can't send your like your earnest money ACH,
I just meant like, and
something along those
the
lines.
lender can just go in and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll have something different in the future. But for right now, this is all I know of that they've got going on. They did recently rework the Federal Reserve System a little bit, the back end system that banks all use to communicate with each other, and made it more secure and added some more fields so that eventually they may even start making us provide the address of the person who's sending the wire to, which adds a little bit of extra security. But if I know you're buying a house, I'm going to know your address too. If I'm the bad guy, I've got all that information. So I don't know how much that will help, but I do know that, they're revising and looking at things as they go. Probably not fast.
Yeah.
And that's the thing really, is that the bad guys are working just as fast at the getting in. Not wire fraud related, but an interesting story when it comes to fraudsters. There was a title company that was doing a closing for a gentleman who they were told was in Florida at a cancer treatment center. And so they couldn't send in a notary. They would only allow him to do a remote online notary, which generally is pretty secure. I don't know if any of you have been with your clients when they do a remote online notary session. It's like Zoom, but kind of on steroids. Ours, you have to actually hold up in front of the camera your ID and your face, and I have to snap a picture of it while it's there. Then you take your ID and they send you a link, and you hit the link and it takes you to a secure website, and you snap a picture of the front and the back of your ID, and it verifies it, kind of like when you go to a bar and they scan your ID and they make sure it's valid. So there's a couple of layers of that. Then they have to go into a knowledge base and answer some questions. It's those ones like, in the last 5 years, which model of car have you owned? And so they have to know a bunch of stuff to be able to even get into the session where the notary can then talk to them and actually do the notarization. So they had it set up. The escrow officer was doing the closing. The gentleman was on screen, and apparently, from what I heard, was wearing kind of a big coat and gloves, like fully basically covered. He held up his ID and face seemed to match. The ID passed verification. Then they notarized the wife, and then eventually gave wire instructions. And this was a seller, so we got wire instructions, and it was right before a holiday. So a lot of things that can possibly make things a little more tricky for us. They sent out the wire, and then the seller on Monday was like, I didn't get my money. And what they actually went back to try and figure out what had really happened in this transaction and where this money had gone. And they went back and rewatched the online notarization session, and the bad guy was using a filter that they had gotten that matched the guy's ID. So a deep fake where he was sitting there and talking and showed. Well, and that was, the questions they had for the escrow officer afterwards. They're like, he's in Florida at a cancer treatment center. Yeah. But what really messed with them was, I guess the notary had looked away at one point, and the husband stood up to let the wife sit down to notarize. And as he stood up and turned his face away, the filter changed off. And instead of an old white guy, it was a young black man who was the person who was doing the fraud. And they were like, how are we supposed to protect against that? Because
Look away.
yeah, if they can be that convincing. We all really need to up our game about like being extra sure we're dealing with the right people and we're protecting our consumers. And so I think really my biggest takeaway for wire fraud is just you really need to scare your clients. I've heard statistics that up to 50% of all transactions have got someone with a compromised email in them, because there's just so many passwords out on the dark web. And so just kind of saying, hey, let's assume that someone has access to your email right now, and let's just fix that. Let's change your password and make sure that your email is as safe as my email is. I have two-factor authentication. I'm going to make sure your information is safe, and just kind of walking them through that process so that they know that we're taking care of their information, and so are you. Any other questions or comments, concerns you guys have?
In a case like this, so there's a judgment, right?
Mhm.
But what happens, like, obviously, this is probably years in between settlement, and all that, so the person just like shit out of luck, they just lost, like, their house is sold and they lost $167,000.
Well, and this one was a buyer. So yeah, this was just the buyer's money that was just gone on. And depending on whether or not Ms. Coleman had assets that they could go after, or whether she had the money or not, but definitely potential to end her career as an agent. For sure. So, yeah. So heavy study. Here, I'll write you a check.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, I am like, somebody hacks your email, like Dalton was saying, like, how do we? Yeah.
There's only so much you can reasonably do, and if you can justify in court that you've taken all reasonable measures, you should be pretty safe, right?
Yeah.
In general,
imagine.
right? But like, don't have your password be adjusted.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's the same.
Go ahead and use that.
The same
Go ahead and use that multi-factor.
go ahead and change it, you know.
Well, so if she would have had multi-factor, would she have like been safe, right? Like, if-
Probably, again, it's about,
Yeah.
like, what else would you want me to
Yeah.
reasonably do? And of course, lawyers are lawyers
Yeah.
and.
Because the bad guy essentially had, so they had to log into her email, so they were able to log in on a different computer than the one she was using and real time see emails coming in and out. So if they're paying attention to her inbox and she's not, and they get an email from the title company and they pull that out of her email and then they take it and turn it into something else and then bring it back in with an email that looks like it's from the title company, she's gonna go ahead and forward it along. But if she has two-factor authentication, they're not logged in anywhere watching what's going on. So it really is a good safeguard as far as we have safeguards right now. I don't know if eventually they'll get to something more secure in emails, maybe make us all start using truly secure email systems.
Should even push biometrics.
Yeah, yeah, and that does help a lot too, you know. If you want to sign into your email, give it a thumbprint or face scan, that can help a lot too. I'm sure they will probably come up with something AI.
More deep fake.
Yeah, that can get past that though. What other questions you guys have? Anything you want to talk about with the title company?
What's your advice, just because I think we have an extra minute, what's
Yeah.
your advice on, we're hearing so much about land fraud cases where somebody's saying, hey, I own this vacant piece of property.
Mhm.
Dalton, I want to sell this property. I want to sell it for undervalue so we can just get rid of it right away.
Yep.
What is your advice for us to be able to like help ferret that out? Or do we just go, hey,
Yeah.
figure out if this person's real title company?
And for our side of it, at Fidelity, we have we send out anytime there is a property that we get an order for where the county records show the mailing address is different than the property address. We send out an absentee letter. Because that's really the only guarantee you have is that letter goes where the tax notices are going. And we have a letter that says, hey, we've opened escrow on the sale of this property. If this wasn't you, please reach out to us as soon as possible. So we do that on every transaction if the addresses don't match.
Okay.
But I have heard of brokerages that say, you know, you have to, again, be on Zoom with them and see them and talk to them. I've heard that a lot of times the bad guys will kind of back off if you say you need to actually speak to them face to face.
Hmm.
But realistically, that vacant land fraud is, I mean, relatively easy for a bad guy to do. I can go to the county records, they're public. I can go to the county records and I can look, I know an area of vacant land, I can just start looking at them. I'll find one without a deed of trust because that means there's no loan. Generally, a house, it's not going to happen on. The bad guy's not going to convince the people in the house to act like they're selling the house. You know, if you have a loan, that's going to be a problem because this bad guy's going to have to provide a social and a loan number. So really, we're talking about vacant land with no loan, free and clear. And so if they can find that, and I know that it says that, you know, it's Justin Smith, who's the owner of the property, go on the black web and I can buy an ID that says Justin Smith. And I could look at the tax records and I could see what his mailing address is and I can put that address on the ID if I really, you know, if I have the resources for it. So relatively easy for them to know a bit of information and seem like they know what they're talking about. And so that one is a little harder to knit. It's just one of those where like, you got to watch for those keywords. You know, I want to sell this really fast. I want to sell it for super cheap because they want to get through the transaction before anyone notices.
Or they don't ask any questions. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I found you, I want you to sell this. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, when can you have it up listed by? And you're like, that's not how anybody talks to me
Yeah.
when I want
Yeah,
to,
nobody.
nobody wants to know what's worth. Nobody wants to know what I charge.
What's the commission?
Hey, I charge 18% on this.
Yeah,
Is
they
that
don't
cool?
care.
They're like, great, no problem.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay. Let's get
They're
there.
like, you can have some of it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sign
Yeah,
here.
he's going to Vegas. Let's
Yeah.
do this now.
Yeah, they're like, it's not my money. Sure,
Right.
you can have some.
Yeah, why not? Exactly. I mean, they won't,
Yeah.
they don't
Really?
care. Yeah, really.
So it is kind of that.
There's a lot.
Slow it down a
I've
little.
had 15 of those probably because I'm all over Zillow and the conversations are not the same as you will have with
Yeah.
an actual seller.
They feel a little
The-
weird.
The questions aren't right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right about that. Any other comments? Ronnie, did you want to take a minute?
Well, I just wanted to say the most important thing in the transaction is obviously staying in communication with your escrow. That all means never ever question. If you have a question, always go to that. Yeah, a little bit of how our fraud prevention, we have a fraud prevention department, we invest $20 million in every single year. Not only that, we have a $1.8 billion reserves, which separates us from a lot of other title companies, which helps protect your transactions. If you're going through the proper processes, not only when it gets to the escrow officer, it goes through another couple of layers of authentication and to approve the wire itself. We are questioning more wires than we are accepting, and it's kind of makes it harder on them, but it protects us from top to bottom and you guys as well. Our fraud prevention on a yearly basis, I have a number for you. They prevented last year alone over $260 million in fraud. That's a big month. It's a big number. And just saying and not knowing how often it happens way more than you guys would know. It happens in transactions we're part of, you're part of, and you just don't know about it because our fraud prevention department is pretty strong. We're able to cover funds. We're able to not put the burden on the consumer. Because with the type of reserve, the level of reserve that we have, we can go in that one. You just know that at a title company too, they all have E&O insurance and they say cover your E&O insurance. If you're dealing with a title company that has a minimum reserve, it could be $100,000, then they're processing millions of dollars in transactions. Your E&O insurance is going to try to find fault before they cover it. Because they're in a risk mitigation business and they're trying to like make sure that they're not at fault before they do it. So just know that the type of people you work with, who you're working with, is important too. But the number one thing is line of communication. Always ask questions, no questions, without questions, especially when it has to do with $300,000. It's the biggest purchase that anyone's gonna ever make in their life, most likely. And we love to protect them.
Yeah, that's a great point. So most of my career, I worked for smaller title companies, locally owned, 1 or 2 offices. And it's only recently, last 5 years, 6 years now, that I have been working at Fidelity, and I was really hesitant to move into the corporate structure. I was like, I don't like that. I want to be the small company. I like the feel of that. But I look at it now, and I have had clients that are like, listen, I'll seed money you. Let's open our own title company. And I'm like, nope, because you are only as strong as your weakest link. And so Fidelity has the ability to catch things that maybe a not careful employee didn't catch. And so nothing bad against small title companies. I think they're great. But also, if there is a loss, again, Ronnie mentioned we have $2 billion. If we have a huge loss, we will cover that loss and we will keep moving. The rest of your clients' money is all safe and secure. So that's one really nice thing about having the big Fidelity umbrella over us. So check with your title companies, make sure that they're protecting your clients' information. I'm positive that all of us out there in the title industry won't take a phone call to change wire instructions, aren't going to just trust an email. We're really good about making sure we educate each other. Just make sure that your favorite escrow officer is doing that too. Because ultimately, again, I'm as good as my weakest person on my team. So we talk about it all the time. Any last thoughts?
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Okay, so bottom line, scare the shit out of your people.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you're signing wire fraud disclosures, just like make them almost cry. Make them raise their right hand. If that's what it works, stand up, pledge allegiance to the wire fraud disclosure.
Take it. Yep.
Let's see. We have Shane. Is Shane here? Yeah, Shane's here. Awesome. Shane with Shane Structures is here today. He brought us some lunch and he's going to tell us a little bit about his business.
Oh, it's Patrick, not Fitzgerald.
Oh, sorry. Patrick. We'll get that changed.
That's all right. How do I?
Is the number right, Shane?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, just
That's
say,
right.
is Shane there?
Shane
This
Fitz.
business.
Yeah. This is,
Yeah.
it's me. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Just the button. Right
This one?
side.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay, so this is my company. I'm a general contractor based out of Ogden. We service all of northern Utah. We just got the top rated general contractor in Ogden. We've been in business about almost 2 years in November. We're realtor friendly, top quality craftsmanship. It's locally owned and operated. I'm the owner. I have a co-owner of Clark Turner. He's based out of Atlanta. He's been doing a bunch of different contracting companies and he's sold them. So he started as my coach. He's come on as a co-owner now. So he's helping me with really growing this thing and getting to where we want to be in the next couple of years, so. Greg Bean is our first project manager. He's, not here today, but if I do another one, he'll be here next time, so. That's kind of us, that's who we are. This is our core services. We do anything from new builds, additions, basement finish remodels, bathroom and kitchen remodels, custom decks and backyard living spaces, sheds, ADUs, barndominiums. I do roofing, soffit, fascia, siding, all home exterior stuff. You name it, we probably do it. We have kind of a job minimum now. We do try to help with some handyman stuff. It's just the way, because contracting, it doesn't really, find a handyman, so. We started as a handyman company, but now we switched to just general contracting, so. Why choose Change Structures? We help increase home values with these remodels. We're a trusted contractor in the area. We have reliable communication with the systems and processes. We have a whole pre-construction checklist that we do. And we get all of our sites or our contractors out there, all of our crews, and make sure we know what the scope is before we even start taking money from them. So kind of different than other contractors in the area where they, have you do half upfront and half after. We do weekly invoicing so that your money is used on the job, and it just ensures that we're not like taking money to pay for another job. It goes really smooth. So it's worked really, really well in the period that we've been using it. So here's some of the featured products that we have. This right here was the first aluminum substructure in the northern Utah area, and it was let's see, a 45 by 6 and a 26 by 6 deck. It's massive. It has a lifetime warranty. The PVC deck boards right there too. They have like a 50-year warranty. He wanted something that was lighter on the house. We did this whole house. It was a whole remodel. We did everything from siding, all the doors, bay windows, deck, siding, soffit, fascia, roof, everything on the inside, all bathrooms, kitchen, everything like that. And then we're just starting a cabin build out in Huntsville. Abraham Cabins we've linked up with, and we're a preferred contractor for them as well for installs. So this was our first one out in Huntsville, and it's going really, really good. And then here's a deck that we did out in New Haven on a new build. We also did their vinyl fencing on his and his brother-in-law's house next door. We could do all sorts of fencing. We also do additions. We just did the framing for this one and the roof, but we can do the whole thing. We pull permits, deal with all the permitting, all the inspections, everything like that as well. Here's all of our basement finish remodels and some kitchens and bathrooms. We're preferred supplier we have a good supplier for flooring, baseboards, doors. We did these as well, these stair treads. That was a custom stair tread build as well. And we also have sand and swirl for all of our bathrooms, which is like acrylic paneling on all the sides in the shower, so we could do that as well. Here's another deck. We do lots of decks. We've probably done, I think, around 20 this year so far. So, and we're still getting decks left and right. So we're in and out with decks. We have so many. We're a certified pro through TimberTech Trucks and Decorators. So all of our labor and material is covered through them. So we do their installs per what they want as well. So yeah, that's kind of it. Did anybody have any other questions? And if you scan this too, this has all of our like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We have all of our builds on social media, so you can check it out as well. Kind of see what we're doing out there. We have free estimates, and we have a quick turnaround with estimates as well.